The bright lights of Hollywood shimmered against the polished floor of the television studio, casting a golden glow over the eager faces of the audience. From the heart of this cinematic city, a voice boomed with the excitement of 1,000 stars, announcing the start of the Newlyweds game. This was the place where promises were tested and laughter was the common currency. Today, four distinct couples stood on the threshold of a playful challenge, ready to prove how well they truly knew the person they had chosen to spend their lives with. Couple number 1 stepped forward with the fresh radiance of a new beginning. Veronica and Guy Williams had been happily hitched for only 2 months, still wrapped in the sweet, lingering scent of their wedding flowers. Following them were Carrie and Chris Savage, couple number 2, who had recited their sacred vows 14 months ago. They moved with a comfortable rhythm that suggested a year of shared secrets. Couple number 3 featured Nicole and Jeff Collins, who had traded rings 15 months ago, their eyes sparkling with a mix of competitive spirit and deep affection. Finally, couple number 4, Michelle and Frank Felix, celebrated their union 20 months ago, bringing a seasoned warmth to the stage. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The star of the show, Bob Eubanks, walked onto the stage to a thunderous roar of applause. He greeted the crowd with his signature charm, thanking everyone for the warm welcome. He looked at the 4 couples and asked if they were ready to play. A chorus of enthusiastic affirmations followed. To begin the proceedings, Bob announced that the husbands would face the first round of questioning. To ensure absolute secrecy, the wives were escorted to a soundproof room, leaving the men alone under the spotlight to predict their partner's thoughts. Bob reminded the husbands that each correct prediction would earn them 5 points. The stakes were high, for at the end of the show, the couple with the most points would win a tremendous and fabulous second honeymoon. With the ladies gone, the air grew thick with anticipation and a touch of nervous humor. The first question posed to the gentlemen was a whimsical look at their romantic lives. Bob asked if their very last hot and heavy romantic encounter together were turned into a play, which part would their wives say would get the loudest boos from the audience? Act 1, Act 2, the finale, or the encore? Frank Felix, representing couple number 4, was the first to answer. He took a moment, perhaps reflecting on the quiet moments at home, and admitted that he believed his wife would choose the finale. He noted with a sheepish grin that the audience would have booed the ending, admitting it was quite bad. Jeff Collins, from couple number 3, had a different perspective. He predicted Nicole would say the encore, simply because there probably was not one to begin with. Chris Savage of couple number 2 brought a morning memory to the stage, suggesting Act 1 would get the boos. He explained that since it happened early in the morning, they were both quite tired and it took a significant amount of time to truly wake up, even though things improved greatly once they did. Guy Williams, the most recent groom, agreed with the idea of the finale being the weakest point. The conversation then shifted to the nuances of daily life. Bob asked the husbands to identify the part of the day their wives would find most annoying for any physical touch. Jeff was certain it was the morning, stating emphatically that Nicole was not a morning person at all and should never be bothered while sleeping. Chris agreed wholeheartedly, noting that Carrie shared that same morning aversion, which had evidently caused a bit of a situation earlier that day. Guy, however, thought late night was the time his wife preferred her personal space. Frank returned to his humorous streak, claiming the morning was the worst time for Michelle, especially when he decided to crawl into bed and tickle her toes, a habit he admitted drove her bananas. As the first round reached its peak, Bob asked the men to complete a sentence as if they were speaking themselves. The sentence was, "I hate to admit it, but lately my wife seems to have gotten a lot more blank and a lot less what." Chris Savage noted that Carrie had become a lot more preoccupied with her weight and a lot less active at the gym. Guy Williams sensed that Veronica had become a lot more stressed and a lot less happy, perhaps due to the pressures of life. Frank Felix offered a peculiar observation, stating Michelle had become a lot more busy with cleaning and a lot less worried about her weight, though Bob found the structure of his sentence a bit confusing. Jeff Collins concluded the round by predicting Nicole would say she had become a lot more concerned about her weight and a lot less energetic. With the husbands' predictions recorded on cards, the wives were invited back to the stage. The energy shifted as the couples were reunited, the husbands holding their cards flat on their laps. The first 10-point question for the ladies mirrored the one about the romantic play. Veronica was the first to speak. She chose Act 1, but Guy had predicted the finale. The disagreement brought a light-hearted tension to the table. Carrie followed, choosing Act 2. She explained her logic with a professional air, noting that while the beginning of a play should be great and the end should be a grand woof, the middle often feels a bit dull. Chris, however, had predicted she would say Act 1, remembering their sluggish morning. Nicole Collins brought a wave of laughter when she suggested they must have seen different plays. She firmly chose the encore, confirming Jeff's prediction. When Bob asked if it was a good or bad encore, she revealed that there simply was no encore because Jeff had fallen asleep immediately after the main event. Michelle Felix also chose the encore, but for a positive reason. She explained that she never wanted their romantic moments to end and always wanted to keep going and going. However, Frank had predicted the finale, thinking she hated the endings. Michelle clarified that she actually wanted more and often jokingly attacked him for more attention, even when he was exhausted. The second question for the ladies regarding the most annoying time of day for a touch brought some successful matches. Carrie surprised Chris by saying the middle of the day was her least favorite time, contradicting his morning prediction. Nicole, however, matched Jeff perfectly by stating the morning was her worst time because she truly loved her sleep. Michelle also provided a perfect match for Frank, confirming her dislike for morning disturbances. Veronica disagreed with Guy's late-night prediction, stating that the morning was when she preferred to be left alone. The sentence completion round for the wives revealed deeper feelings. Nicole felt she had become a lot more moody and a lot less active in bed. While Jeff had predicted energy and weight concerns, the underlying sentiment of change was present. Michelle believed she had become a lot more energetic with a higher sex drive and a lot less concerned about her weight. Frank's prediction about her cleaning habits was deemed half right by Bob. Veronica felt more energetic and less worried about her weight, contrasting Guy's observation of stress. Carrie felt more stressed and less involved with her own hobbies, while Chris had focused on her gym activity and weight preoccupation. After a brief commercial break, the game entered a new phase. The husbands were secluded off stage, and it was the wives' turn to predict their husbands' answers for 10 points each. The first question was about popularity at parties. Nicole was certain Jeff would say he was more popular with the opposite sex, especially after a little alcohol loosened him up and he started singing. Carrie felt she was the more popular one due to her high energy and ability to talk to anyone. Veronica also chose herself, noting her social nature and the fact that people often told her she resembled the famous Vanessa Williams. Michelle, on the other hand, pointed to Frank, describing how he would strike up long conversations with complete strangers even while waiting in line at an amusement park like Magic Mountain. The ladies then moved to a more personal and humorous topic. What was the last thing they made their husbands wear that turned them on but made the men feel silly? Carrie mentioned a simple collared shirt. Veronica described fitted t-shirts that showcased Guy's muscles, even if they were a bit tight. Michelle stole the show with a story about a leather G-string adorned with handcuffs that she had bought for Frank during their honeymoon. She recounted how he had finally worn them one day, looking bashful yet exciting, a nod to his work in security. Nicole mentioned boxers with a funky, childish print. The final 10-point question asked the wives to complete a sentence about an infomercial for a skill their husbands lacked. Veronica and Michelle both felt their husbands needed a video series on how to listen. Nicole suggested a series on how to sing, noting that while Jeff thought he was musical, he could not carry a tune. Carrie jokingly suggested a video on how to dust, noting that while Chris was a great cleaner, his dusting skills left something to be desired. To wrap up the round, Bob asked a 25-point bonus question. What would their husbands say was their inseam measurement in inches? Michelle guessed 30 inches. Nicole guessed 34 inches. Both Carrie and Veronica guessed 36 inches. The husbands returned to the stage for the final confrontation of the game. Bob began checking the 10-point matches. When asked who was more popular at parties, Chris Savage chose his wife, while Carrie had predicted she would say herself, earning them points. Jeff Collins chose himself, matching Nicole's prediction perfectly. Frank Felix guessed his wife was more popular, but Michelle had predicted he would name himself because of his habit of talking to strangers. Guy Williams chose his wife, matching Veronica's confident prediction. The tension rose with the question about the silly clothing. Jeff correctly identified the funky printed boxers Nicole had mentioned. Frank Felix, with a bit of a blush, perfectly matched Michelle's story about the black G-string with handcuffs, much to the amusement of Bob and the audience. Guy Williams, however, went on a different path, admitting he had once tried on Veronica's red underwear, an admission that was not what she had predicted. She had mentioned the tight t-shirts. Chris Savage also missed the mark by mentioning a pair of Carrie's hoop earrings, whereas she had mentioned the collared shirt. The infomercial question saw a perfect match for Guy and Veronica, as Guy admitted he needed to learn how to listen. Frank thought the videos should be about cleaning, while Michelle had said listening. Chris thought the topic should be driving, but Carrie had focused on his dusting. Jeff also chose listening, but Nicole had highlighted his singing. Before the final bonus question, the grand prize was revealed, a 6-night vacation at the Wyndham Rose Hall Golf and Beach Resort in Jamaica, a paradise of white sand and championship golf. The deciding factor was the inseam measurement. Chris Savage guessed 33 inches, failing to match Carrie's 36. Frank Felix, in a moment of confusion, first guessed 40 before correcting himself to 30, which matched Michelle's prediction perfectly. This put them in a strong position. Guy Williams guessed 36 inches, matching Veronica's prediction exactly and taking the lead. Finally, it was up to Jeff and Nicole Collins. Jeff guessed 34 inches, which was the exact number Nicole had provided earlier. The studio erupted in cheers as the math confirmed their victory. With 55 points, Jeff and Nicole Collins were crowned the winners of the Newlywed Game. As the couple celebrated their upcoming trip to Jamaica, Bob Eubanks bid a warm farewell to the audience and the other participants. The stage lights began to dim, but the spirit of love, laughter, and light-hearted honesty remained, a testament to the enduring charm of the Hollywood dream.